Hi there, I know Mother's Day is already over. It seems late to upload this video. However, I'm happy to share this one to you today. I felt the previous video on how to make this card was a bit confusing, so I've made a new video with clear instructions. I hope you also find this card easy to make and enjoy making it. Okay, let's see what we need to make this card. First is cardstock. In this video, I'm using a variety of thicknesses, but I'll mention the details after cutting the template. Double-sided tape, glue, pencil, eraser, cutting machine. I often use cutting machine to cut out the templates. If you don't have a cutting machine, you can use an art knife instead. Now I'm going to upload the template to my Cricut. As usual, I'll leave the link to download this template in the description below. To get the template files, we need to extract the download file first. If you are going to cut the template with an art knife, you can print the template out from the files in PDF folder. If you are going to cut with cutting machine like me, upload the files from SVG. Now I'll upload files on cutting software, then cut them out as usual. There is no special technique to cut it. After cutting out the template, I have those pieces. And this is the cardstock thickness details. I use thicker cardstocks for the mother and daughter at the card base, and use thinner cardstock for the cover. Okay, now let's start with those white pieces. Before putting them together, I need to print the assembly diagram. Open folder PDF, then open Artboard 5 and print it out. And this is the assembly diagram. As you can see, there are numbers and letters on the diagram. Now I'm sorting the pieces into two groups, one for number pieces and another for letter. First, I'll put the piece D to piece 5. This is piece D, and this is piece 5. As you can see, there are slots on piece D. The position of those slots match up exactly with the position of the intersection points on line D. Place piece D on the diagram. I'm going to label the slot on piece D. The first intersection point on line D is the position of the first slot on piece D. The same goes for other points. The first intersection point is where line D meets line 1, so I'll mark D1 at the first slot on piece D. Similarly, the second point is where line D meets line 2. So the second slot on piece D is marked D2. This is D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, and D8. I'll do the same to this piece 5. I'll place piece 5 parallel to line 5. The first intersection point on line 5 is where it meets line F. So the first slot on piece 5 is marked F5. I'll write the letter before the number. Similarly, the next slot is E5, D5, C5, and A5. Now I'm going to put piece D to piece 5 at this point. As you can see, this slot is marked D5. That means this slot is on piece D and will be put into some slot on piece 5. You also find slot marked D5 on piece 5. The two slots marked with the same name will be put together. Okay, next we are going to put piece 4 to piece D. This is piece 4. I'll also label the slots on piece 4. This is F4, E4, D4, C4, and A4. I'm going to put piece 4 to piece D, so I'll find slot D4 on piece 4 and put it into slot D4 on piece D. Next, I'm going to put piece C to piece 4 and piece 5. On line C, there is a red stroke on the right. This is the position of the pieces tab. So I'll place PC here. That is tab is on the right like this. The first intersection point on line C is where it meets line 1. So the first slot will be marked with C1, the second C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, and C8. I'm going to put this piece C to piece 4 and piece 5, so I'll put slot C4 to piece 4 and slot C5 to piece 5. Slot C4 on piece 4 will be put into slot C4 on piece C. And slot C5 will be put into slot C5. Now I'm going to put piece 6 to piece D and piece C. Place piece 6 parallel to line 6. The first intersection point on line 6 is where it meets line G. So the first slot here is G6. Similarly, the second is E6. Then D6. C6, and the final is B6. I'm going to put P6 to piece D and piece C, so slot C6 goes into piece C and slot D6 goes into piece D. Find slots marked with the same name and put them together. Next, I'll pick P7, then mark the slot on it. This is G7, then E7, D7, C7, and B7. I'm going to put P7 to piece D and piece C. So I'm going to put slot C7 to piece C and slot D7 to piece D. Here is slot C7 on piece C. I'll put P7 to piece C with the two slots marked C7. I'll also find slot marked D7 on piece D and put the two slots marked D7 together. And this is how the pieces fit together when viewed from above. Let's go on with piece 8. On line 8, the position of the red stroke is here, so the tab of piece 8 is here too, in the front of the mother-daughter. I'll also label slots on it. Put piece 8 to piece D and piece C. This slot D8 will be put into piece D and slot C8 will be put into piece C. Put the slots marked with the same name together. Next, I'm going to put piece 3 to piece C and piece D. The first intersection point of line 3 is where it meets line F, so the first slot is F3. E3, D3, C3, and A3. Let's put piece 3 to piece C and piece D. Put slot C3 on piece 3 to slot C3 on piece C. Put slot D3 on piece 3 to slot D3 on piece D. Next, I'll put piece 2 to piece C and piece D. You'll find a red stroke on line 2 here. The position of its tab is in the back. I'll place it here that the tab is in the same position of the red stroke. And now I'll label the slots. I'm going to put piece 2 to piece D and piece C, so I'll work on slot C2 and slot D2. As you can see, its tab is behind the mother-daughter. Now I'll pick piece 1. Line 1 doesn't meet line F. The first intersection point on line 1 is where it meets line E. So the first slot on piece 1 is E1, the middle D1, and the final C1. I'm going to put piece 1 to piece C and piece D. Next, I'm going to put piece A to piece 2, piece 3, piece 4, and piece 5. Similarly, I'll also label the slots on piece A. Now I'm going to work on each slot one by one, from slot A2 to slot A5. Just keep in mind that slots marked the same name will be put together. Put slots marked A2 together first. Next is A3, then A4, and the final are A5. Next is piece B. I'll also mark the name at the slot. Then put piece B to piece 6, piece 7, and P8. Okay, we are now done with the front. Next, just turn the mother-daughter over and keep on assembling the back. Pick piece E. I'm going to label slots on piece E. On the diagram, the tabs of piece E and piece 2 are positioned on the same side. As I've turned over the mother-daughter, so now the tab of piece 2 is not on the left like the diagram, but on the right. So when putting the piece E, make sure its tab is on the same side of the piece 2. Now I'm fitting slots E1 through E8 into pieces 1 through 8 respectively. Just fit them from right to left. Put slots E1 together first. Then E2. If you find it hard to see the name of slots while assembling, you can rewrite name on the back of piece E. We'll erase them later. Then E3. E4, E5, just keep going until E8. Okay, let's flatten the pieces a bit. Next is piece F. Line F doesn't meet line 1, so the first slot on piece F is F2, then F3, F4, and the final one F5. I'm going to put piece F to piece 2, piece 3, piece 4, and piece 5. Similarly, I'll put slots in order from right to left, from slot F2 to slot F5. The final one is piece G. I'm going to put piece G to piece 6, piece 7, and piece 8. Okay, we are done with the hardest part of the process. It's time to erase those slot names. Just erase them along the slot to make sure our pieces are not torn. The next steps are attaching the mother-daughter to the cut base. I'm going to fit the tabs through the slits on the base. Fold up the tabs. And fit them through the slits. I'll use double-sided tape to attach the tabs to the base. Okay, now we can leave it aside. We are going to the final steps. Fold along the dotted line. Put the base in the middle of the cover. As usual, now I just need to add double-sided tape on the four edges of the base. Then add glue on the cover, especially on the patterns of the cover. There are patterns on the base, so I'll add glue on it. And now I'm going to paste the base to the cover. Place the base that the edges align with the dotted line. There should be a thin gap between the edge and the line. Then, I also add double-sided tape on the four edges of the base on this side, and add glue on the patterns of the base. Make sure the edges of the two base pieces are aligned. Then I'll close the cover to paste it to the base. Okay, we got it. Let's see our result again. I hope this template inspires you to create a special gift for your moms. If you love your card and would like to show to others, feel free to share your cards on our Etsy shop by leaving your feedback with photos. I'm very glad to see your stunning cards. Thank you for watching. See you later.